Today's Patreon shoutout is for Ye Old Knight. Titania Nature's Force versus Heliod. And we can get rid of some fast mana with the Foundation Breaker, hopefully get into Cultivate pretty quickly, so we'll try that one. Seeing a Soul Warden on turn 1 from the mono white player. See if we draw into a land here, if not might have to go Ancient Tomb with the crop rotation, but we do get into a forest. Might go for the Ancient Tomb anyway, to be honest, depending on what our opponent does, because if we're a turn ahead we can go Tireless Provisioner and then into Cultivate the turn after. Getting their Soul Sisters into play, Daxos blessed by the sun now. So let's go crop rotation at the end here, sacrifice the forest, we'll be able to play that from the graveyard once our commander comes out, so not too worried about losing it this quickly. Ancient Tomb for us. We draw into an Eternal Witness, so we can fish back out the crop rotation and grab another land back if we want to. Tireless Provisioner, we can go tutoring for another land I mean, so Gaia's Cradle or Yavimaya, something like that. Noteworthy that we can blow this up because it's an enchantment, we could blow that up with the Foundation Breaker if we want to. Impassioned Orator, yeah, they really do have all the Soul Sisters here, so not getting down a third land into their commander, thankfully. I think their commander will actually come down as a creature as well. Yeah, needs Devotion of 5, so once that comes down they'll have that. A 2/4 swings in towards us, we'll just take it. And there we see a Sky Shroud claim, so probably just okay going for the Sky Shroud claim here. And thanks to the treasure being made by the Tireless Provisioner, we can still go for Cultivate as well, because the lands that come in from this will come in untapped, so play that for a couple of forests. Obviously they trigger the Tireless Provisioner again, so treasures once more. Then we can go for the Cultivate. One of those goes into play, triggering the Provisioner again. And we have made a land this turn, so yeah, I think just going for the Foundation Breaker will be okay to blow this thing up. Does mean we'll have to evoke it, unfortunately. Just trying to have the Heliod do as little damage as possible. So we'll only have Devotion of 3 now. When the Heliod comes down, we will pass the turn at that. I'm not looking to trade them for the Orator just yet. Managing to make their third land, so I dare say that they will throw down the Heliod here. And they do. We're going to be making a lot of creatures into that thing, annoyingly, so they're going to get a bunch of plus counters being thrown around from the Soul Sisters here. Alright, a Titania, Protector of Argoth. We'll get down our commander here, I think, because I want to be able to play Forest from the bin. So our commander will come into play. They'll gain a life from the Soul Warden. And that does trigger the Heliod, of course. Putting it onto the Orator. And then we can play a Forest from the bin, which triggers the Tireless Provisioner and makes us a 5/3. And then we'll play out the Eternal Witness, and I think I will grab the crop rotation back here. Of course, once again going to trigger the Soul Warden. And then we can go for that this turn, so let's sacrifice a forest. Don't have the Titania that cares about lands dying in play yet, unfortunately, but maybe playing around a board wipe would be a good idea. Get down the Gaia's Cradle. Make a treasure token with the Provisioner again. And then we can tap that down for 4 mana. Get out the Garruk Wildspeaker. We'll be able to untap the Gaia's Cradle again. So plus on that, we'll untap. Yeah, there's no need to go for the Ancient Tomb, I don't think. If our opponent has a board wipe here, then so be it. I'm just trying to deal as much damage to them as possible, because I think they're going to outrace us if we're not careful. Anyway, the Titania going to fish a land out of the bin, which does trigger the other Titania and the Tireless Provisioner again. So yeah, there we are, facing down a 7/7 Impassioned Orator. Hopefully we'll be able to just throw in 3/5s like crazy at them though. Managing to make a 4th land with 3 cards in hand. And there is a Swords to Plowshares. I mean, I think the damage has been done on this thing already, but Tireless Provisioner going to be exiled. And then, you'll never guess, another Soul Sister, Lunarch Veteran. So they'll gain a couple of life here. And then just passing the turn, starting to pile counters onto the Soul Warden now. So we're just hoping to get into some card draw sometime soon here. But, of course, just get into a land. So let's go for the Wooded Foothills. We'll make, by cracking this, make a 5/3 Elemental with the Protector of Argoth, and then when the forest comes into play from the fetch, we'll make another 5/3 from the commander. And I think we're just trying to make as many creatures as possible so that we can overrun with the Garruk Wildspeaker. I think that's the loose plan here at the moment. Gonna have to make way more creatures though. So while minus down make a beast, that's just way more damage that's going to come in towards them when we do eventually get the overrun going. Archivist of Ogma now. Haven't seen that played too much since it was released. There was high hopes for it though. Whenever an opponent searches their library, gain a life and draw. So we'll have to watch out for the fetches and all the ramp that we've got in this deck. Only got one card in hand. Managing to animate their Heliod. Deciding to hold back there. We'll have to watch out for counters going on the Heliod because we won't be able to block it with anything once it has 6 power. Once again, hoping for some decent card draw. But it is just a land, so throw down the forest, we'll tick up the Garruk and just pass the turn over. Authority of the Consuls now. Don't think we have much in the ways of haste in this deck, so not too worried about our stuff coming in tapped, although it will gain them a lot of life. But I don't think they're really struggling on the whole life gain thing. That is a patch up. Return up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 3 or less from graveyard to battlefield, so just returning the Daxos. 0 cards in hand over there. But they're going to get 3 triggers from their Soul Sisters. And it's just a stalemate at the moment apparently, so we're both in top deck mode now. Okay, there's a Harrow. So we can do that during our opponent's turn just to try and make life more difficult for them, I think. Throw down the forest. And of course we'll sacrifice a forest to the Harrow so that we can play it from the bin with our commander and make even more creatures. Yeah, Authority of the Consuls, don't particularly care about that. Plus on the Garruk so it doesn't die when we go for the -4 limit break. A Hopeful Initiate, so now we're going to be able to destroy artifacts and enchantments, which thankfully we're not really all that worried about at the moment. Our opponent's still holding back, so we'll cast the Harrow. Sacrificing the land triggers the original Titania. Noteworthy that we have triggered the Archivist of Ogma there as well. It is during their end step, so hopefully they won't be able to cast whatever it is that they drew into. Well, a Scavenger Grounds, so yeah. The stalemate continues. Play the forest from the bin. Alright, we're getting pretty close to the overrun at this point. Plus on the Garruk again, so we can start alternating between Beast and untap, assuming that the game goes on a few more turns. Prism Ring, and then they drop a land, so no other spells for them to cast. Okay, more mana with the Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. So let's play the Scavenger Grounds. We could make another elemental with that by having this land go into the bin. So play that one, doesn't make any landfall because this is just going to care about forests. Let's make a beast token, I think. Got a bunch of 7 toughness and 7 power creatures at this point. Our overrun effect will make these have 8 power, so hopefully be able to trample through all of them. We either force them to block and get rid of their creatures, or they take a bunch of damage and get pretty close to 0. I think our opponent just played a land again there because no cards in hand, and once again just passing straight through the turn, so let's crack these Scavenger Grounds just to get another 5/3 elemental. So that exiles everything. We actually benefited the least from that thanks to the Wooded Foothills being in the bin, but we did get a 5/3 to swing in with this turn. I'm thinking that we're going to swing in here because we're probably just going to draw into a land again. Yep. So let's go for the -4 on the Garruk and potentially throw the game away here. So I've got a bunch of 8/6 tramplers. The beasts are 6/6s, so I don't think I'll swing in with those. Swing in with the Titania as well because we can just replay it again here. Yeah, so just swing in with nearly everything. So yeah, swinging in with the commander and 11 8/6s here. Want to be able to block in case we need to survive the swing back. Gonna give a bunch of stuff lifelink here, I imagine. They can give 3 creatures in total lifelink, and obviously the Daxos likely to survive here, so it makes sense to hand it over there. The Lunarch Veteran being given lifelink as well. That does have Disturb for being cast from the graveyard, don't forget. Okay, going to take 72 damage here, but they will gain 14. Noteworthy that they didn't give anything else lifelink. So yeah, I don't quite have them here, but we do have a lot of creatures survive. Return our commander to the command zone because it does die there. And yeah, I think we can start milling some cards here. It's not really a self-mill deck. I don't think mono-green self-mill is all that great. Really need black and white to take advantage of it, maybe some blue. Yeah, mono-green dredge isn't the best, I don't think. Problem is, I know as soon as I mill stuff, I'm going to mill a bunch of card draw, but we'll just go for the mill here just for the fun of it. Our opponent's at 24, so yeah, I suppose they did have north of 80 life. That's still a pretty good attack for us. Nissa, who shakes the world, could start making manlands. Augur of Autumn, we could have started playing stuff off the top with. Mana Reflection wouldn't have been all that useful, neither would Vernal Bloom. The Senseis, or the Sylvan Library, would have been good. And then it is Demolition Field, a Roiling Regrowth, and a Nature's Claim, so let's, in the main phase, go for our commander again. Just need to attempt to survive the swing back here. We're not going to be able to go for the overrun again for another few turns, thanks to Garrick needing to tick up more. Problem is they can't turn in sideways fully at us either. Can't play anything from the bin, didn't mill any lands there, any forests, so play the Nykthos and just pass the turn at that, I think. They're going to be able to start making profitable blocks now, unfortunately, by the time we get the overrun effect again. Luminous Phantom being disturbed from the bin, and they do gain a life thanks to the Prism Ring. Once again, I've no cards in hand again, so that must have been a plains that they drew into once more. Giving their big Daxos lifelink, so I assume they're going to swing in with the 10-6 here, and yeah, I mean, they do eventually just outrace us here, I think. We do stand to draw way more cards than them in a mono-green deck though, so maybe can get out from underneath this. Swinging in with an 8-9 with training, so that will get a plus counter on it. Giving this thing lifelink as well, so we're going to gain 19 life here. And it is well worth blocking here, so throw away the Eternal Witness and the Beast token. Now it's through to our turn, ready to draw into a land again. Alright, Oracle of Muldiah can clear some lands off the top at least. So throw that out. And there we see a Sylvan Safekeeper, so we can consistently not only protect our creatures from spot removal, but can consistently play Forest from the bin. I think I'd rather draw into something else, to be honest though, so maybe sacrificing the Misty Rainforest will be a good idea. Let me just put mana into the Nykthos, because we'll untap both those lands with the Garrick here. So shuffle that thing away off the top. We will give them a card draw. Now seeing Garrick's Uprising. Yeah, still don't have any forests in the bin, unfortunately. But that does stand to do some decent work for us over the course of the game if we don't lose anytime soon. This thing does have flying, so that is going to be a big problem for us over the course of the next few turns. We don't have any reaches. A Defiler of Faith now can start making 1/1 soldier tokens. They're up to 57 life again already. And then, there we go. That'll be the end of us getting into the Abzan Falconer. So just been way too slow this game. Had an excellent start, but yeah, just couldn't do anything apart from make lands, which is obviously what this deck wants to do, but would have been nice to get into some card draw at some point. So all of their big creatures going to have flying here and will obviously have to take all the damage. Alright, so just swinging in with the 3 creatures here, not trying to overkill us. Oh, was that not enough? I thought they'd swung in with enough to kill us there. Yeah, I mean, I really don't see us doing anything else unless we're really lucky here. Yeah, needed lands on the top there for the Rampaging Baloths, really. We will draw a card with the Garrick's Uprising though, so I might as well throw that down. Oh, they swung one in at the Garrick Planeswalker, that's why. Yeah, I don't know if they're just toying with us or they don't know what the Abzan Falconer does. They could have just swung straight in at us and had lethal there. Anyway, Garrick's Uprising going to draw us a card. Excellent, and the Finale of Devastation. Awesome. So that means we can draw into that by playing the Rampaging Baloths. Going to punish our opponent for not taking us out there, I think. Alright, and Azusa on top, not really too worried about her, so let's dump a hell of a lot of mana into the Finale of Devastation. Putting 26 mana into X, and we can obviously fish out any card we want from our library here, any creature that is. Alright, so I'll just dump the Regal Force into play here for the fun of it. The Regal Force will draw from the Garrick's Uprising. The Regal Force will obviously draw us a bunch of cards here as well. But currently, our Elementals have Haste and Trample, and they are 31/29s. They do draw a card with the Archivist of Ogma, so they could hit lucky with a free spell. I don't think there's a free white spell that can save them here though. Drawing a whole bunch of cards there obviously, but we'll just turn in sideways here and get the victory. Alright, so take them down to -369. Obviously this game doesn't count because our opponent had us dead to rights there. I'm not sure what happened, if this is a newer player that, you know, isn't used to attacks or something. I don't know. I mean, that was just simply play out the flying enabler and turn everything in sideways and they've got us. So our opponent had the win there. That doesn't really count as a victory for us, but it was a fun game nonetheless. A good back and forth with the stalemate of neither of us being able to get anything going. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you want to see more from Titania, then be sure to let me know in the comments. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.